Welcome to Professional Attention Seekers, the podcast teaching you how to stand out in a crowded world. My name is Lucy Banks. I'm the founder of Million Billion Media, Australia's first and the best PR agency for OnlyFans creators and adult industry workers. Professional Attention Seekers, the podcast. We're here to give you the insights, the strategies, and downright juicy as fuck interviews to help you grow your business. Whether you're climbing the corporate ladder, you're trying to grow your spicy business, or you just want to command the room like a fucking boss, we're here to teach you how to do it. Today's episode will be about myself, Lucy Banks, my journey as a corporate banker to broke single mum to becoming a multi-millionaire thanks to OnlyFans. You are not going to want to miss this. So settle in, grab a wine, and let's chat. I'm going to share with you a hell of a story about my background and how I came to be where I am today. So I started in corporate banking when I was 17. I had various roles in the bank, but in the end I was working in business banking, which I loved. I have a client base of all these different businesses, and it was my job to help them grow year in, year out. I loved that job for many reasons, but the biggest part of it was just the vast difference between the clients I had. I had clients that were an ice cream shop, someone who had invented some kind of concrete. I still don't understand what it was, but he did really well. Someone who hired out tarps. There was just all these different ranges of business, and every single day looked different, to doing loans for them, to going out to the workshop and meeting their employees. I always had a mind and a passion for business, and I think that's where it started in corporate banking. Fast forward to 2019, I was newly divorced. I had two really young kids. Doing 60-hour weeks at the bank was not something I was going to be able to do forever. I hated tucking my kids into bed at night and them saying, "Do we have to go to daycare tomorrow, Mum? We miss you." Being a mother is so important to me, and I had their childhoods in my hand, and there was no way I was going to fuck that up. A lot of people say, I love my kids, I would do anything for them, and I decided that I was actually going to do that. I was going to do anything for them. I was going to put myself right out of my comfort zone, and that's when I made the decision to walk away from my respectable professional banking job that I'd been in for 10 years and start an OnlyFans. Starting an OnlyFans was such a step out of my comfort zone. I'd never even been to a strip club. I got married when I was 22. It's not something that was a natural progression for me. I copped a lot of criticism, not only from family and friends, but just people in the general community. I fell out with my conservative religious family. We didn't talk for 18 months. I had people calling my kids' schools being like, "Do you know what this mum does for work?" I had somebody throw a brick in my yard that had the word slut written on it. I had people call the police. I had people try to call child protection to try and get my kids removed, when the reason I was doing it in the first place was to try to provide for them. It was a long journey, and it was really hard. I didn't even want to go to the shops because I knew I'd bump into somebody, and I would go to say hi and they'd be like, "No, we're not friends anymore thanks to what you do." This was in 2019, so it was back at a time where you could say to somebody, "I do OnlyFans," and you'd just be met with a look of a blankness, a blanking expression, or they would say, "What's OnlyFans?" Whereas nowadays, it is quite mainstream, and no one's going to question what OnlyFans is, because thanks to the media exposure, everyone knows. I had a girlfriend I went to high school with, and she started posting these gorgeous, sexy photos and calling herself a different name. And I was like, "What is this?" I messaged her. I was like, "Babe, what is OnlyFans? I don't understand it." And she explained the platform to me, and she explained how much money she was making. I think at the time it was in the ballpark of $5,000 a month. And to me, that was life-changing. I just thought, if I could make $5,000 a month, that would change everything for me. I would be rich. The money just blew my mind at that time. That was such a huge figure. I started an OnlyFans that night. I still didn't really understand it. I remember asking her, I'm like, "Is this real money? Does it go into your bank account? Or is it I don't know, internet credits that sit somewhere on a website?" I really didn't understand it. Once I'd signed up, I dedicated so much time into learning the ins, the outs, researching marketing and figuring out what the right strategy for me would be. I think the difference between those who are successful on OnlyFans and those who only do it for 5 minutes and then they say like it failed for me, I wasn't a success. It takes time, it takes consistency, and it takes commitment. When I started OnlyFans, I treated it as a business. It wasn't something that I just wanted to do for fun. It wasn't something that I'm not interested in having a huge Instagram following, to be honest. I started it to have an income for my kids and to be able to pull us out of poverty, and that's what I did. For me, my OnlyFans success was built on just me being my authentic self, to be honest. I was always really genuine with my fans. It was very natural for me to be having a glass of champagne and taking photos in lingerie, because that is something that I genuinely enjoy doing. When you build your brand on authenticity, it's sustainable. You can keep doing it. If I was to have a brand being an alternative looking girl or like tattoos, like that doesn't come naturally to me. So there's no way I would have been able to pull it off. When I was building relationships with my subscribers, they were real. They were genuine. I knew what they did for work. I knew their pets' names. I knew what they were like as people. And the deeper those relationships went, the more successful I was on OnlyFans. It was very real for me. So it had the legs to be able to keep going. I was on the OnlyFans platform for 4 years, and over that time, I had subscribers that were with me for the 4 years because we had a genuine relationship. That's what worked for me. It doesn't mean that that's what will work for everybody. That was strategy and that was branding, and that's something that I did from day one. OnlyFans is ebbs and flows like a lot of businesses. It's like a roller coaster. It goes up and down. It's not a business where you can necessarily have an income 1 month and then increase it by 10% moving forwards, because it's just the nature of it. And any successful OnlyFans creator will tell you the same. At the peak of my career, I was making up to $3,000 a day. Within 4 years, I'd become an OnlyFans millionaire. To have that income and have that stability for my kids, I started investing in property. I bought my first house, quickly followed by my second. In the end, I bought 4 houses within 14 months. One of them, my first house, I spent the summer renovating with my kids, and it was the best time. We've got such core memories doing that, and how lucky that I didn't have to have a 9-to-5 job. We spent the summer renovating the house and we flipped it for an insane profit. Consistency, connection, and cash flow are some of the pillars of being successful, not only on OnlyFans at the time, but moving forward and long term as well. If you want to have OnlyFans as a business for yourself, you need to treat it like a business. It's not something that you can just do for 5 minutes. You need to have the consistency. You need to have that genuine connection with your subscribers, and you need to be smart with your cash flow. If you're going out and you're buying your designer goods and you're getting your surgeries, that is so exciting that OnlyFans can provide that lifestyle for you, but it's not sustainable. Not everything is smooth sailing, and there seems to be this massive misconception that, I need money for my bills this month, or I need a holiday, I'll go start an OnlyFans. And to anyone that says that, my response is always, go try it. Go on, go do that for 5 minutes and see how you go. It's not a matter of putting some nudes or some feet pics online and then all of a sudden you will earn thousands overnight. OnlyFans doesn't work like that. Especially, we're recording this in 2025 and the market is so saturated. You do need to be doing things differently to stand out in the crowd. That's not to say it's oversaturated. I do think you can start an OnlyFans today and still be successful. You haven't missed the boat. However, you do need to approach it with more strategy and more commitment than just, I'm going to post a nude and earn thousands of dollars. It doesn't work like that. Not only is OnlyFans challenging as a business, there's a huge stigma that's associated with it as well. I fell out with my family and friends. When I applied for my first house, I was declined because it had OnlyFans on my tax return. There's multiple creators out there who have had their bank accounts closed down without any warning because they're receiving proceeds of sex work. Although it's not illegal and OnlyFans is a perfectly acceptable job to have, the stigma that is associated with it is huge and it's real. I get very passionate about speaking about the adult industry, and I do believe that the more exposure it gets, the more we see it in the media, the more we see these reality TV stars starting an OnlyFans, that stigma starts to erode. And in my time in the industry, the way that people view it today is so vastly different to how they viewed it back in 2019. And the news articles that we get through Million Billion Media have had a lot to do with that. However, I don't want to sit here and pretend it doesn't exist, because it does. It affects my life still in many ways. I don't go and talk to mums in the school car park because I don't want to lie to them and I don't want them to recognise me. I've had situations at school events when someone's come up to me and been like, "Aren't you Lucy Banks?" It does affect every area of your life. And once you are on the internet as an OnlyFans creator or in any form of being in the adult industry, that will stay with you for the rest of your life. I just want to be realistic about it. For me, that sacrifice was worth it. I don't view it as a negative thing. If anything, I'm quite proud of my achievements. I'm proud that I have grown this business from literally nothing to something that I will now probably do for the rest of my life in some capacity. However, if it's going to cause you to fall out with your family, if your husband's going to leave you, if it is going to have real problems, then it is something that you need to reconsider. I don't advise anyone to go into this thinking that they could do it anonymously. Yes, there are people that do it anonymously and have been very successful, but ultimately people will find out, and you need to have a serious think about how that's going to impact your life, because the stigma is real. There were so many times that I wanted to give up, especially when my new career got out amongst the town I was living in. The amount of, honestly, just like abuse I would get online. I had my photos and my content leaked. It was sent around to all the school dads. I was really made to feel, oh my gosh, like, what am I doing? Felt such a heavy level of shame. And there was a point that I got to when I thought, okay, maybe I should just apologise. I should just say to everybody in my life, I'm sorry, I thought I could do this. Maybe I went through, I don't know, a mental health episode. It was so stupid, I shouldn't have done it, I'm sorry. Or I can go crazy on it. I can put my head down, I can hustle really, really hard and make myself a success. I can turn around and say, you know what, everybody, get fucked. This was actually probably a really good decision for me. And look how it's benefited my kids. And that's exactly what I did. There are times where I questioned whether I was doing the right thing, but ultimately being able to drop my kids off to school every day, being present for every single school assembly, being able to tuck them into bed every night, being able to pay for private schools completely on my own was worth everything to me. I came from a very insecure background growing up. I've moved probably over 30 times in my life. When I divorced my ex-husband, that was my biggest concern. I didn't want my kids growing up with the instability that I grew up with. So from day one, my big goal was to buy a house, and I'm really proud that that's something that OnlyFans and the industry helped me to do. The adult industry isn't generally spoken about in terms of empowerment or being a positive thing. However, it definitely changed my life for the better. And I'm really grateful for not only the subscribers that were on the journey along with me, but the network I've built, the other creators who I'm real life friends with now. The industry has given me so much. It's such an intrinsic part of my life. And I want to help other people to do the same. The money that can be earned on OnlyFans is so significant. There are women out there who are earning hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they've ended any generational poverty that their families may have experienced. It's different for everybody, and what your priorities are may be different to what my priority is. My priority is my children and being able to set up a secure environment for them, not only while I was doing OnlyFans, but long-term as well. For me, I still haven't bought a designer bag. Oh God, I got the boob job I've spoken about, or had any significant money go anywhere else really, apart from real estate. I think it's really amazing that people can choose what they want to do. I know women who have gone into OnlyFans, they've made $40,000, they've gone and spent it on cosmetic surgeries, and they've got out. And that's really amazing that they were able to do it. For me, I think it's important for people to be investing long term. I bought my first property, I renovated it with the kids, we flipped it, and then we were able to walk away with a huge profit. I've also since then bought 3 other houses. My kids have bought a house. I was in the media for my kids saved up a deposit that contributed to one of our investment properties, and now they receive a portion of rent every single week, which is so exciting that they'll have that financial literacy for the rest of their life. My eldest has already worked out, but by the time he's 18, with the amount that he's earned from that investment property, he'll have his own house deposit. And when we get back to it, that was all thanks to OnlyFans, because we had that deposit to begin with. When I started OnlyFans, I always said I would do it until it didn't make me happy anymore. And I wasn't entirely sure how long that would be. Was I going to do that for 6 months, 2 years? I knew that there was going to be an end to it. I knew that I would get burnt out. I knew that this was just a season in my life. But I also knew that I had to plan long term. Thankfully, I had a strategy in place. My strategy was property. That worked really well for me, and it ensured that I was able to, at the end of my OnlyFans journey, pivot into something else, which is a risk. Starting any business is a risk, but I was able to take that risk because I had been smart with my choices and I had properties to fall back on. I like to tell people that you want to get into OnlyFans to get out of OnlyFans, and it's really important that you have actionable plans in place to facilitate your exit on your own timeline. Essentially, OnlyFans is a business, and I don't think people really understand that. I think it's important for people to reinvest their money into whatever suits your risk appetite. Perhaps that's property, perhaps that's shares, perhaps that's just putting it aside and making sure that you've got a nest egg. Perhaps it's investing into super. You need to figure out what your investment options are that sit in alignment with your risk appetite and ensure that you are taken care of long term. Realistically, OnlyFans isn't a long-term strategy. I don't mean that in the sense of you'll get too old and people won't want to pay for you anymore. That's a whole other episode that I will get into. However, the burnout is real. The sustainability of having yourself out there on the internet in such a vulnerable and easily exposed way is something that grinds on you. And if you follow the industry, you'll see that people come and go all the time. So you need to ensure that you have your ducks in a row, so to speak, when your time comes and you're taken care of. I've seen people do it. They've come in, they've made money, they've spent it all, and then they've got their nudes out there on the internet forever, and they've said, yeah, was it really worth it? Because I don't have anything sustainable, I don't have anything tangible to show for it. But yeah, I still have that stigma with me for the rest of my life. It wasn't worth it. So make sure that you're not that person. Which brings me to Million Billion Media. When I was an OnlyFans creator myself, I wanted to figure out how to leverage the media. I don't like being told no. And I think that OnlyFans creators should be aligned with other businesses that are doing, normal businesses that are doing amazing things in the world. I set out to find myself a publicist and figure out how I could get into the news and the media and reach a new audience. I quickly found out that publicists don't like to work with sex workers. I was lucky enough to leverage my own knowledge and network with a few other people and figure out how to get into media. My OnlyFans success is largely due to the fact that I was published in the media. I was the only one successfully doing it at the time. Back in 2020, I was probably Australia's best known OnlyFans creator. Now, I've stepped away from being a creator myself, and I want to be able to help other people get into the media and get their names into headlines where they rightfully belong. These days, in 2025, you can Google OnlyFans and it's not just Lucy Banks that pops up. There are now a range of Australian creators that are now published in the media, and that's thanks to Million Billion for being able to get them into headlines. So that's my story in a nutshell. It's full of risk, resilience, and out-of-the-box thinking. But more than anything, it's a reminder that it's okay to pivot and you can do fucking anything that you put your mind to. It's okay to take a leap of faith if it feels right and you're doing it for the right reasons. Whether you're an OnlyFans creator, an entrepreneur, someone who's standing at a crossroads, not wanting to go to their 9 to 5 tomorrow, this is your prompt to take a bet on yourself and go for it. If you're ready to level up, whether it's PR, branding, marketing, financial advice, or any other industry area that we can help you with, Million Billion Media is your go-to. Slide into my DMs or check out the link in the show notes to learn more. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next episode. We have a ton more tips hacks, and advice coming your way, including stories, advice, and interviews from other juicy creators in the industry. Hit that follow button and I'll catch you in the next episode. Cheers.